In game development, there is currently this weird belief about learning, where you think that learning game development is any different from learning like basically anything else. You can imagine, right? In game development, people think that watching tutorials is learning. But you can imagine in other fields. How do painters learn to paint? Well, obviously, it's by painting. They improve painting by painting. How do mathematicians improve their math and problem solving? Well, it's by solving math problems. How do music artists improve making music? They make music. It's literally so simple. To get better at something, you just have to do that thing. But in game development, there's this weird belief that you should learn by watching tutorials. So right now you probably think, well Kevin, when I watch a tutorial, I do the things that the guy on YouTube explains into my own engine. So obviously I'm like doing game development. Do you really think a music artist will get better at music by following a step-by-step guide on how to make a song? Do you really think that? You really think a mathematician could read a step-by-step guide on how to solve a problem and then they would magically just get better at solving problems their own? Do you really think that? Because if you do, then you're obviously completely wrong. And I don't blame you for it, because the system is built up for you getting stuck. I'm not saying it's the YouTuber's fault, but the system, it rewards creators and YouTubers for keeping people stuck. You watch a tutorial, you get stuck, you don't improve, so you watch more tutorials, because you think that's the way to learn. So when you do, like, you watch ads, you might buy programs where you like, it's like hours on end on how to like build your game or whatever these programs might be. You just become a complete consumer and you don't build anything yourself, and that's what the system profits of. It profits from you being a consumer. That's exactly why Smart Indie prevents. It prevents you from being a consumer, and it basically just has the goal for you to stop watching my videos, so you can start building your own things, you can start learning on your own. That's the goal of Smart Indie. The goal of the course is basically to stop watching courses, because obviously you want to build games, you don't want to consume content all the time. Like obviously you can watch concept overviews or like more advanced tutorials where they explain like advanced things on conferences or like presentations, like when you get more advanced. But the goal is not to follow step-by-step how-to tutorials all the time, and that's not what Smart Indie is. Smart Indie is a framework for you to release your own game in only 6 days. It's a framework for you to build something yourself, not just follow a step-by-step recipe on how to make a game, like all these other courses and YouTubers tell you to do. When you just start building, you start getting into this momentum of building things, you complete the 60-day roadmap inside of Smart Indie, then you won't need to spend more than like 5% of your time consuming content. That's basically what I do. I spend 95% of my time basically just building things, and when I like want to level up or want to learn something new that I think could benefit me, I watch a concept overview and I implement the things that I watch an overview for. But I don't improve my like problem solving skills, which is essential for game development. I don't learn that by watching a concept overview. The concept overviews or like the presentations, the conferences, whatever, like the boring videos that are more like advanced, not like follow along, they basically just are thought-provoking. They get me to think, they get me to have new ideas, but to actually make them stick, know how to implement it, and improve like problem solving and like the logic of programming, the logic of game development, I actually need to build. So like the concept overviews, they aren't like the thing that gets me to learn, they're just thought-provoking and getting ideas. Basically just knowing what I can build and what I can practice on. That's what the concept overviews and the like more advanced tutorials can help with. So that's also why I recommend inside of Smart Indie for beginners to start with a introduction video to their game engine, because obviously you don't know what to do, so you need to watch an introduction video. But as soon as you've done that, you've implemented the active learning habits like taking notes, pausing the video, all these things, then you should start building, experimenting straight away. Because as I said before, game development, it's not any different from any other creative field in the entire world. They're all the same, you learn them completely the same. Painters improve by painting, mathematicians improve by solving problems, music artists improve by making music. game developers, they improve by building games. It's as simple as that. No need to complicate it. You can't argue with it. Game development is not an exception for like the entire world. So we briefly talked about what I mentioned as active learning. And active learning, that's basically where instead of just consuming, you can imagine when you're listening to the teacher while you're in class in school, or if you work, then you listen to your boss, whatever. Listening to someone else, that's just passive learning. Basically, the only thing you do is you listen and you try to like remember the things that you are listening to. But active learning, that's the opposite. That's where you, instead of listen, you take notes, you use your brain, you think, you solve problems. And you might think solving problems, that's like working itself, that's not learning. But in game development and other creative fields, like as I said, they're all the same, like learning it. You actually improve by doing the thing itself. So you can think of like working, that's learning. Basically in creative fields, like making music, games, painting, all these things, you improve by doing the thing itself. Basically, simple as that. Just do the thing and you will get better. That's also what Smart Indie is built upon. Smart Indie is built upon active learning because taking notes, doing these active things, using our brain, that's the best way to learn. When you just know that, then game development would be so much easier, 100 times more easy than if you just did passive learning and you get into this overwhelm, you don't know what to do, and you watch the tutorials, try to implement it, and you basically can't do anything, you're just stuck, your brain is basically like frozen. That's what passive learning does to you. Active learning will make you, it will feel hard obviously, because as I said, passive learning, you're just listening, whilst in active learning, you actively need to use your brain, as I said. So obviously it's going to be harder, it's going to feel harder. It's not going to feel like learning because you aren't like actively listening to someone, or you are, but you're taking notes. But in most cases, you aren't actually listening to someone, so it doesn't really feel like learning, it feels more like problem solving. But you will actually learn more. Like this has been researched that active learning, you perceive it like you learn less than you do in passive learning. Like you feel like you learn less when you solve problems, for example, and you do active learning. But in reality, like I said, this has been studied. In reality, you learn more by doing these things instead of just passively listen, which is what I translate this study into in game development. Active learning, that's building things. Passive learning, that's watching tutorials. And that's also why I mentioned like taking notes, because taking notes, that's an active thing, whilst watching someone like a tutorial or a concept overview, that's what we call passive learning. So you should implement active learning into passive learning when possible. You shouldn't do like 100% passive learning when you are watching tutorials, because then you're not going to remember any of the things that you just watched. Like for example, I watched a video on like going more into detail about delta time, like a deep dive. Like as you can see, I'm just gonna hold over this because this isn't like relevant. But as you can see, like I have the Norwegian, so you can read it. But as you can see, I just took some notes here when I watched the video, and I just took some quick notes when I watched the video. And what I do is that, let me put this back. What I do is that I first watch the video, I take notes, then what I do is I implement the things that I watch. Just like I said before, like I take notes, like I watch the video, I take notes during it, then I might read over the notes, like just a small thing, and then I try to actively implement the things that I just learned. And if you do that, I promise you, you're going to learn so much faster. It's going to be harder than obviously just watching step by step, do this, click this button, write this, basically. You have no idea what's going on, you just watch a tutorial. Obviously it's going to be much harder than that, but you're going to learn 100 times more effectively. So inside of Smart Indie, I go more into detail this obviously, but I'm going to tell you like the first step, because you are a beginner, like this might be overwhelming to you. So I'm just going to give you the first step since you are a beginner. The first step, as I said, is going to be watching this introduction video about your game engine, so that you know like roughly what like a variable is, what a function is, how to move a player, how to spawn something, just these basic things, like you have heard of them before, just to like kind of roughly know some concepts that you're able to experiment with. So you might not be like an expert, you might probably maybe just remember one thing from the entire tutorial. Totally fine. What you're going to do after you've watched that video, implement passive learning like we talked about, what you're going to do is experiment with one small thing. Just one thing. You're not going to watch any more tutorials straight after that introduction video. You're just going to experiment with one small thing. You should spend 1-2 hours on this, and ideally you wouldn't search on Google immediately. What you're not going to do at this step is going to be ask AI or cheat. Like, this experiment should be something that you are able to do with just enough time. So if you were assigned like 2 hours, no internet, you would be able to do it. That's the experiment I want you to do. Ideally more like 30 minutes or 15, but whatever, just do small experiments. Basically, extremely simple. Spawn this one thing, move this one thing in one direction, like make a console message when you click a button. Basically, whatever you know, whatever you remember from the introduction video, try to implement it and do an experiment. And what you're going to do is that with this experiment, let's say it was moving the player in one direction without like any input or anything. It's basically just move the player upwards. Basically, that's the entire experiment. Let's say it was that. What you're going to do after that is that you're going to build on that experiment. So you're going to, for example, do the next natural step, which for this would be move the player upwards when you press W, for example. That's like something that's fairly easy to do, and it's like a natural next step. So what you're going to do is you're first going to try to use like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, try to do it yourself. And most of the time you're going to do it if you have heard it before in the introduction video. If you've heard it before, you probably are going to like figure out the solution within 30 minutes by yourself. But if not, then you're going to search on Google, not to use AI, because AI is way too good. That's a problem. Don't need to explain that right now, but it's way too good. Like, the AI is just going to like bombard you with information, so it's not going to make you learn, it's just going to like do the thing that you want to do. It's not going to teach you. So that's why we use Google. Use Google, search for like official documentations, ideally Stack Overflow, Reddit, whatever, things like that. So as we talked about, the next natural step would be to move the player upwards when you click a button like W. What you're going to search for, if you have no idea, you spent time on trying to do it, but you have no idea, you couldn't figure it out, you're going to search on Google how to read player input from a keyboard in your game engine like Unity. You search for that, you find like Unity documentation, whatever, then you try to read it and you try to implement that thing into your own game. And obviously you're going to get the solution, like it's going to say input.getKeyDown, and then you can write keycode.w. Like, really simple, right? Now, since you struggle with this thing, you try to like do the thing and you search for Google, and now you have to implement it into your own code. It's like kind of a whole process, and it's kind of hard. And that's awesome. It's awesome that it's hard because you're going to remember it for the next time. The next time you're going to move a player when you press a key, you're going to remember it 10 times faster than if you didn't do these things, you didn't struggle with it. Basically, if you just watch a tutorial on it, or you just ask the AI, you got the result immediately without struggling with it. You would literally not remember it at all, but since you struggled, you will remember it for the next time. And then you can just build on this, do this one thing, do this one thing, do this one thing, struggle with this, make it hard. It should be hard, because if it's hard, you're going to remember it so much better the next time, I promise you. So make it hard on purpose, use Google official documentation, struggle with the things before you search for it. As beginner, obviously you don't need to do this forever, but as beginners, since we don't know anything yet, and it's important to like remember things and like train our problem solving, it's very important that we try to struggle. Like your goal isn't going to build like an awesome game or like an awesome moving player simulator. Not the goal here. The goal is just to learn. So don't be a perfectionist. Don't think that watching a tutorial is more effective, because we talked about that already, like seriously. And just do the hard things. Struggle with the things. Do as I said. You're going to learn so much faster, I promise you. And if you do this, game development is going to be much easier for you than 99% of other developers, because they fall into this trap of thinking tutorials are productive and game development is somehow different from all the other creative fields in the entire world. But now you know it's not. It's not any different. You know it, and you're going to get so much more progress because of it. And you should be really glad you watched this video to find all of that out. If you appreciated my advice, click the first link in the description to join Smarty in this day to get 10 times more advice just like this, and I'll see you there. So thank you for watching.